ब्राह्मणैर्ज्ञातवेदैः वेदान्ताख्यैः सुविहितमखोद्भिन्न मोहान्धकारैः स्तुतो गीतो य इह सततं तं भजे रामकृष्णं तं भजे रामकृष्णम्। समाख्याद्यै गीतिसुमधुरै मेघगम्भीर घोषैः यज्ञध्वानध्वनितगगनैः ब्राह्मणैर्ज्ञातवेदैः वेदान्ताख्यैः सुविहितमखोद्भिन्न मोहान्धकारैः स्तुतो गीतो य इह सततं तं भजे रामकृष्णं तं भजे रामकृष्णम्। समाख्याद्यै गीतिसुमधुरै मेघगम्भीर घोषैः यज्ञध्वानध्वनितगगनैः ब्राह्मणैर्ज्ञातवेदैः वेदान्ताख्यैः सुविहितमखोद्भिन्न मोहान्धकारैः स्तुतो गीतो य इह सततं तं भजे रामकृष्णं तं भजे रामकृष्णम्। गीति सुमधुरै मेघगम्भीर घोषै।
मंत्र by Subhajit Ray.
ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम। सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। ओम शन्नो मित्रः शन्वरुणः शन्नो भवत्तर्यमा शन्न इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः शन्नो विष्णुरुक्रमः। नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वामेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वामेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम्। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। ओम भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गये स्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनोभिः वैसेमदेवहितैयदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति न पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्त्राक्षो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। ओम तच्छयोरावृणीमहे गातुं यज्ञाय गातुं यज्ञपतये दैवी स्वस्तिरस्तु नः स्वस्तिर्मानुषेभ्यः ऊर्ध्वं जिगातु भेषजं शन्नो अस्तु द्विपदे सञ्चतुष्पदे। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। ओम असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्युर्मा अमृतं गमय। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। हरिः ओम तत्सत्। श्री राम कृष्णाय अर्पणमस्तु।
Thank you, Subhajit. We are glad to present the talk, A Handbook for Happiness by Dr. Goutham Tholpadi. Goutham Tholpadi is a member of Vivekananda Study Circle, IISc. He has learnt about the Vedic tradition and ideas from Sri Gokulmuthu Narayanaswamy at Vivekananda Study Circle, IISc, and from the books and lectures of Swami Paramarthanandaji and Swami Dayananda Saraswatiji, and from many other teachers. He holds a PhD in computer science from IISc, Bengaluru, and is working as a data scientist at Peritus.ai, Bengaluru. Over to Goutham, Dr. Goutham sir.
Thank you for the introduction. I'll just present my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Namaste to everyone. Today I am going to discuss a topic which is very close to everyone's heart, which is happiness. The discussion topic is, we all want happiness. How do we go about getting it? and some exploration into what is happiness and the details, so that it is our pursuit of happiness is more effective. And that's why I am calling it a handbook for happiness. Before I start, I would like to express my gratitude to all the teachers whose learning I have learned a little bit here and there and added with my own experience, and I am presenting to you today. If you find anything useful, it is coming from the teachers, from the Guru Parampara. And if there is anything erroneous or mistaken, it is my fault. So please correct me when that happens. Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. With that, we will start the discussion. So, we start with the fundamental problem, which is the topic of today's discussion, which is, I do not want sorrow, but it is there, and I want to get rid of it. I want happiness, but it is not there. I want to get it. This is the situation I am in a lot of the time, and maybe some of the audience has also faced this some part of the time. This is something which is commonly there, and this is a problem for which I want a solution to. And in the course of the next few minutes, we will discuss some things around this. Before we discuss a solution, we will take a step back to understand the backdrop in which I am facing this problem. What are the assumptions I am making about myself? And that will influence the approach that I take to solve the problem. If I take a step back and look at myself, I make the following assumptions. I am an individual. I am separate from all the people around me, all the objects around me, from the rest of the world. I identify with my body and mind. I think this body and mind is mine. In fact, I think it is me. If something happens to the body and mind, I am upset, I am afraid, I am angry. And thirdly, I transact with the world through the body and mind. Whenever I want something, this body-mind is what I use. As a user of this body and mind, I pursue different goals and try to get what I want. In the Shastric terms, the third assumption is that I am a karta, and the second assumption is that I am a bhokta. So I am making these assumptions about myself. With these assumptions, what can I do to achieve my goal, which is I want happiness and I don't want sorrow. I want sukha and I don't want dukkha. Before I think about what I should do to get something, I should look at what I am capable of doing, because only that will determine what I will do. Right? So if I look at what I am capable of doing, broadly this is categorized into three parts. One is I have the capability or the ability to desire for something, to want something. With all my heart I can want something. I also have the ability to do something. I have hands, legs, my breath, my mind. All these are karanas. They are instruments which are at my disposal, and I can use this to do something. And finally, I have the capacity to know something. I can perceive objects, and then based on whatever I perceive, I can make inferences and I can understand things. These are three fundamental capacities that I have, and most all capacities can be brought under one of these three. Okay, so these are the capacities I have. How can I use these to get what I want, which is sukha? Right? I think it is probably obvious that just wanting something will not help us to get it. That is something we have clearly observed in our own lives. Just because I want something, it won't come to me. Also, knowing something, it does not directly help. Supposing I want a rasgulla, just knowing that there is a rasgulla in the fridge will not get me the rasgulla. I have to go and get it. So what we have seen in our experience is that doing something can help us get what we want. But even there, it does not help all the time. Sometimes even after doing, we don't get what we want. Right? So when can doing help to get us what we want? Two things. We need to know exactly what we want. If we are not even sure about what we want, we will get something, but it may not be what I want. Secondly, after I know exactly what I want, I have to know what needs to be done in order to get it. So there is a sadhya and there is a sadhana, and I need to know both. Only then I can get it. Right? So what is it that I want? Right? So in my past, if I look at what all the things I have wanted, it is a very, very, very long list of things. When I was a student, I wanted knowledge. After I started being a student, I wanted a job. Then I wanted a better job. Now I think I want to start my own business. Somebody will say, okay, I already have a business. I want to make money or more money. I want to build relationships. I want friends. I want a spouse, children. I want to have enjoyment, go on a vacation. I want to have tasty food. I want to have appreciation. People should approve of me, they accept me, praise me. So these are all the things that I want. At different times in my life, I have wanted all these things. If I think, why do I want all these things? I find that whenever I get it, for some time, temporarily, I feel sukha. And this is the sukha that I want. It is temporary, but I want this sukha. Right? So now, what can I do to get this sukha? To understand this sukha better, the Shastra gives two definitions for sukha and dukkha. Anukula vedaniyam sukham. That is, something that I have expectations about. Something that I want it to be like this. That this is how I want something. And if that thing happens, supposing I want to be with a person, and if I get to be with that person, or if I want an object, and if I get to own that object, that is when that happens, I feel sukha. And pratikula vedaniyam dukkham. When there is something that I do not want, and I get it. I don't want to be with a particular person, but I'm forced to be with that person. Or I don't want something and it lands in my lap. This is dukkha for me. So this is the definition of sukha and dukkha. Right? If this is what sukha is, and it is this sukha that I want finally, through all the whole long list of things that we just saw, finally it is this sukha that I want. Right? So then what should I do to get this is the question. So just to repeat, I do not want knowledge for the sake of knowledge. I do not want money for the sake of money. Right? Because I want knowledge, and when I get that knowledge, for a brief period I am happy. Because I want money, when I get that money, for a brief period I am happy. That is a sukha. Now how do I get that sukha? Right? That is a question. So there are two things here. One is, okay, supposing this is how sukha is obtained, how do I get that sukha? And second thing is, this sukha is dependent on what I want. What are my expectations? Because I get that sukha only when my expectations are satisfied. Right? When my want is satisfied. So is there a way to control that want? Can I change what I want? So these are two lines of inquiry that we have. Let's look at the first line of inquiry. What should I do to get what I want? Right? So what we have seen, in my experience I have seen, is that when I'm trying to do things using my karanas to get people, to get objects or situations, if you go back to this list, everything in this list can be generalized into one of three categories: people, objects, and situations. Right? Anything can be described in those terms. So if I try to obtain people, objects, and situations, what I find is that I am not always able to get sukha. Why? Sometimes getting that people, that person, object or situation may involve a lot of effort. That effort is dukkha. So I may think if I am the Prime Minister, I'll be happy. It is sukha for me. And it is possible also. But to become a Prime Minister, there is so much effort involved. And that effort is a lot of dukkha. Is it worth that sukha? Is a question. Sometimes that effort will make us realize, okay, this sukha is not really worth it. Sometimes we may not get the desired result even after putting a lot of effort. Some person will do a lot of research to figure out which is the best, stock in the stock market, and he will put the money in it. And then, is it guaranteed that he will get the profit that he expects? No. So even after all the effort, it is not guaranteed that you will get the desired result. And sometimes you will get the desired result, but even then you will not have the sukha. I was doing PhD, and when I was doing my PhD, I thought, if somehow I am able to finish this PhD, I will be really happy. And then one fine day, after many years, I actually finished my PhD. And then it was just another day. I did not feel any major sukha or anything. So when I was having that thought that, okay, this will give me sukha, and I did put a lot of effort, finally, even if I got the result, it did not give me sukha. So what we see here is that just blindly going after people, objects, situations will not guaranteedly give us sukha. And I want sukha. That is my goal, finally. So now, what can we do here? Now we are at a dead end. We don't know how to proceed. When this happens, Shastra can give us some guidance. So if we turn to the Shastra, this is what we can learn. So just if we recap for a second, all the analysis we have done so far is based on, one, our own experiences in life, and two, based on the assumption that I am an individual with this body-mind. For someone who is making this kind of assumption, now Shastra says, okay, let's say you are a body and mind, you make one more assumption now. Okay, that assumption is the karma principle. And if you make this additional assumption, this will help you figure out what to do to get what you want, which is sukha. Right? So I'll just recap the karma principle, which most people know, but I will just tell you as I understand it in some layman's terms. What the karma principle says is, universe is a system. The individual is a part of that system. You can imagine a dividing line between the individual and the rest of the system. Now, this is the important part. Whatever crosses the line in one direction will compulsorily come back in the other direction. So if there is something crossing from the individual to the system, that is an action. And something crosses from the system to the individual, that is the result. Karma and karma phala. And this going and coming back is not instantaneous. There will be a time lag. All this is part of the principle of karma. Right? Finally, one last thing is that this individual who we are talking about now, he is not the body. He is someone who is acting through the body. The body is an instrument being used by this individual. The body will die, but this individual will not die. He will move to another body and continue. Repeat the same thing there. This is the basic karma principle. So now, with this principle and with whatever you analyzed so far, what are the implications that we get in terms of what we want? First thing we know is, okay, if I give sukha, if I do a karma which gives sukha to something in the system, somebody in the system, that somebody, whoever it is outside of me, it is separate from me, I am an individual. So whatever I give is going towards the system. So if I give sukha, I will get back sukha. If I give dukkha, I will get back dukkha. This is an implication. Okay, the result of whatever I give, it will come back after a time lag. Right? But it will come. It will definitely come. There is no escape. Whatever I do today, it will come back to me at some point in the future. There is no getting away from it. Right? So, what are the implications of this corollary? If you just think, there are two common situations that we face where this kind of analysis will be immediately applicable. So one common situation that I face is that, hey, I am giving sukha. I am giving sukha to so many people. I am giving so much sukha to some people for such a long time, but I am not getting back any sukha. What is happening? I may feel something like this is happening. But then according to the karma principle, now I don't need to worry, because I know there is a time lag. Whatever sukha I give will definitely come back to me. It may not come now. It will come maybe next month or next year or next janma, but it will come. I don't need to worry about it. Another situation that we commonly face is, I am getting dukkha now that I feel I do not deserve. If I did something wrong and if I get a punishment, if I get a dukkha, I can accept. I know I did something wrong and I am getting it back. I did not do anything wrong and still I am getting all this dukkha. People are treating me unjustly. Why am I doing this? I don't deserve this. Now again, if we apply the karma principle in my life, I will not be resentful, because I know the karma principle cannot be violated. It is clearly told whatever I get is a result of what I have given in the past. So if I am getting dukkha now, it means I have given dukkha in the past. I may not remember it. I have forgotten. It may be in the past month, past year, past janma, but it is something I have done in the past that I am getting now. So there is nothing to be resentful about. I am getting what I deserve. So with this, some regular life situations become easy to understand and handle. Right? Now coming to our goal, which is to get sukha. So now if you use the karma principle, it becomes clear what I need to do to get sukha. The solution is to give sukha as much as possible to as many people as possible. Keep giving sukha every day, every moment, as much as possible. And inevitably, the law of karma will make sure that you will start getting sukha. There will be a time lag. You may have to wait for some time, but it is inevitable. So if I want sukha, only thing I have to do is to give sukha, and then I will get sukha at some point in the future. Okay. However, keeping in mind that the same karma principle, we should remember to do this sustainably. Because if I give sukha to one person and if I give dukkha to another person in the process, then they do not cancel each other out. If I give sukha to one and dukkha to another, I will get sukha and dukkha in the future. They do not cancel each other out. So it is important when I am giving sukha to do it sustainably. This is a dharmic pursuit of sukha, so that there are no side effects of bad effects to anyone. Okay, so now we have a formula of how to get sukha. So I know how to get happiness now, right? So I can keep doing this for a while, for as long as I am alive. I can keep doing this, keep giving sukha, and I will also get some sukha and I will get some dukkha from my past actions. This will keep going on, and then at some point, we'll start thinking a little bit more about this, right? What kind of conclusions can we draw based on the experience that we do here? One thing we find is that giving sukha is not easy, right? So if I want to help one person, I need to have the ability to help that person. And that is not easy. When I am born, I don't have any ability to help anyone. I am only giving dukkha to everyone, right? So a doctor, he is able to help so many people. He is able to give sukha to so many people who are in pain, right? Who are in misery. But in order to be able to give that sukha, he has to put in so much effort to learn for many, many years, and so that he is able to give that sukha to people. So it is not easy to give sukha. And there are different kinds of sukha, but for each one we have to develop the abilities and we have to do the work in order to do it. And also, whatever we do, whatever sukha we give, it will come back to us. And then what do? Again, we have to keep giving sukha. So it needs constant renewal. So every sukha that we get is impermanent. So we have to keep working if we want to keep getting sukha. So this is a never-ending cycle. So now here there are two questions which come. So first is regarding the difficulty of giving sukha. Right? So if I want a great sukha, I also have to give a great sukha. So that giving the great sukha involves a lot of work, right? And that is dukkha for me. So can I do something about it? Is there an easier way to give sukha and also get sukha? That is one question. And second thing is, okay, this is a non-stop cycle. Can I get out of that cycle? Is there a way to get permanent sukha? so that I don't have to keep putting all this effort all the time, right? So now we come to the other line of inquiry which we had thought earlier. One was, how do I get what I want? Second thing is, what decides what I want so that I can tweak it, so that it becomes easier for me to get what I want, to have my expectations in such a way that it is very easy to make me happy, right? So changing the emphasis, sukha is I get what I want, but changing the emphasis from I get to I want, so that focus on what is it that I want and modify it so that it is something that becomes very easy to get. So is it possible to control what I want so that it is very easy to get sukha? So when we look at this, what we find is that I do not control what I want. So the sukha and dukkha is coming from our likes and dislikes. Right? Whatever I like, I want. Right? So it is coming from my likes and dislikes, and this like and dislike is not part of the conscious mind. It is part of the subconscious, and what we call in our system as a samskara. And because it is not conscious, it is not possible to control it. Only whatever is in the conscious mind can be controlled. So we have a subconscious from which there is an incessant stream, continuous flow of like and dislike thoughts. If when we look at something outside, something will come from our subconscious and say, hey, I like this. Some person you will see, maybe even for the first time, but suddenly you will feel you will have an attraction, you like that person. How do you like that? Because even though you don't know that person, something in the subconscious brings up some like and dislike. We do not control these samskaras, they keep coming off their own. Okay, so if I cannot control what I want, is it again a dead end? No. There is an indirect control. What the Shastra says is, the samskaras that we have, the likes and dislikes that come from our subconscious, they were created by past thoughts and actions. Past thoughts and actions becomes current samskaras. So what does it mean? I can carefully choose now what I do and what I think, then that will influence the samskaras that I will have in the future. Right? So, but how do we control what I'm doing now? Because as we already said, what is coming from the subconscious is not within our control. Yes, that is not in our control, but we can put a gate in the conscious mind about what we want to do about these thoughts when they come. Right? And even that may be sometimes difficult, as we have seen in Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna says that, the mind is very powerful, and when it throws up some likes and dislikes, there is nothing we can do about it. Right? So here again, two practices are told which can help us, which is vichara and simhavalokana, introspection and retrospection. Daily, if you spend some time thinking about, okay, how is my mind behaving? What am I doing? And then again at the evening of the day, okay, what did I do today? Where did things go wrong? Where did I get blown away by all these emotions? This activity helps us to kind of filter our thoughts and emotions and actions, and leads to more easily sustainable samskaras. Right? And this is what we call simple living, right? Where our expectations are less, and we are happy with very less and happy with what we get, contentment. So this is one way where we can get to sukha, with very little effort, and we can be happy very easily. But this is still in the same cycle, right? We still have the same problem that it is not permanent, because we have to keep renewing, we have to keep acting, we have to keep making that effort. Okay, so then we come to the question, okay, can we get out of this permanent effort, this constant effort also? Can you do something about it? Right? Is there any way to get permanent sukha? First question we have to ask here is it even possible to get permanent sukha? Okay, so here Shastra says the following. It depends on the approach. What is our current approach? We are saying, I will use my ability to do, which is the Kriya Shakti. We have three Shaktis, Ichha Shakti, Jnana Shakti and Kriya Shakti, which is what we discussed earlier. The ability to desire, know and do. So Shastra says, whatever we do is finite, and anything that is finite cannot result in something that is infinite. So if permanent sukha is nothing but infinite sukha, which is infinite, you cannot get it through finite effort. So this is something which Shastra says, which means that the current approach, it is not possible to get permanent sukha. Okay, so what is the other thing that we can do? We have already exhausted one of our capacities, which is the Kriya Shakti. Can we use other Shaktis? Can we use Jnana Shakti to do something? So here, Shastra again says, okay, here Shastra can help if we are ready to re-examine our assumptions. So what is the assumption we have worked with so far? I am an individual. I have a body and mind, and I act through that body and mind. Right? So here Shastra says, okay, this is an assumption which is not true. There is an alternative assumption that you can make. There is an alternative framework. And that framework is called the Advaita principle. Okay? And what is this Advaita principle? What does this give us? If we take this principle, what does it lead to? How can it help us? It changes the identification from I am an individual to I am the total. So till now I've been thinking I am individual, I am separate from everything else. Now with the Advaita principle, if we do the analysis, we will come to a conclusion that I am not different from everything else around me, and everything is part of a single whole, and I am that whole, so I am the total. So with this identification, what happens? It changes my view towards what I feel I am lacking. So when I am individual, I am limited, and I think I am lacking in something. Now, when this changes to I am total, then I am unlimited and I am not lacking in anything. Now what happens when this is the case? So now if there is no lack, then there is no want. And when there is no want, there is no dukkha. Now why is this the case? If you observe, all the dukkha that I get is because I want something. Right? So when I want something, that limitation, that sense of limitation is what causes me to have dukkha. If I have no limitation, then there is nothing I want. And if there is nothing I want, then there is no dukkha. And this dukkha, this lack of dukkha is actually ananda or permanent sukha. Now, why do we call this as permanent sukha? If you observe carefully, when we in our previous analysis of sukha, when did we get the sukha? When whatever I wanted, I got it. That want was satisfied. That was when I temporarily felt sukha. Now, why did I feel sukha at that point? Until the time I was wanting something, I was having this sense of limitation. And that was the cause of dukkha. When I got what I wanted, temporarily that sense of limitation went away. And that led to sukha, which is nothing but ananda, but only for a brief period of time. Because after that brief period of time, the next want came into the picture. So we have a series of wants coming one after the other. And in between those wants, when for a small period I do not have any feeling of want, because something got satisfied, I briefly feel that ananda and I call it sukha. So this is the method of how the Advaita principle works to give us permanent sukha. Now, what is the Advaita principle? I will not discuss that because I am not qualified to do that. But I will tell you what I have learned from my teachers about how we can go and reach the Advaita principle where we can get the Advaita knowledge. So there are two steps which have been told in the Shastra on how to get the knowledge of Advaita. The first step is to prepare the mind to receive the knowledge. So this is a very special knowledge, and getting this knowledge requires our mind to be prepared. Right? So just as someone who is in a graduate degree or a master's degree, right, the way he can receive the teaching given in the classroom cannot be received by a first standard student because his mind is not prepared for receiving that knowledge. Similarly, for receiving the knowledge of the Advaita, the mind needs to be prepared in a particular way. And that will help us get that knowledge. So what is required for preparing the mind? There are two parts to it. One is the reduction of likes and dislikes. So we have a lot of likes and dislikes in our mind. We have to reduce the intensity and neutralize these likes and dislikes. They will keep coming, but they should not have a very strong influence on what we do. So that is the first thing. And the second thing is integration of body and mind. We will look at each one of them. How do we reduce likes and dislikes? Till now, whatever we have seen, we are doing all our actions, we are doing for the sake of sukha. That has to change now. To do actions not for sukha, for the sake of sukha, but for the sake of the sukha data. Who is the person who is giving us sukha? It is Ishvara. It is the system, Ishvara in the form of the system, who is giving us the sukha and dukkha that we get. So now we do not for the sake of sukha, but for the sake of the sukha data. And what does it mean to do actions for the sake of the sukha data? It means from now till now what we were doing, all actions we were doing were based on our likes and dislikes. Whatever I like, for that purpose I will do it, or for that reason I will do it. Now we'll change that. Okay, we don't do things for the basis of our likes and dislikes, but on the basis of what is right and wrong, what is dharma and adharma. That is a change in how we do things. And this is what is called in the Gita as Kaushalam. Yoga Karmasu Kaushalam. Choosing our actions by deciding on the basis of right and wrong rather than like and dislike. The second thing that we have to do is change in our attitude towards what we get. The first one is what we do, second one is what we get. Right? So till now what were we doing? We were getting sukha and dukkha from the system. Right, from the world. So whatever experience we got, we were labeling. I like this, I don't like this. I like this, I don't like this. Now we change that attitude, saying that okay, whatever I'm getting, it is a blessing from the sukha dukkha data, from Ishvara. Right? So now it is no longer that okay, I don't like this. Whatever I am getting is a prasada from Ishvara. And so I will like whatever Ishvara is giving me, I will like, because he is giving me for my own good. So complete acceptance of every result that we get. Right? So this is what is called in Gita as Samatvam. Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. Right? So these two attitudes are called Ishvara Arpana Buddhi and Ishvara Prasada Buddhi. And by doing this, we are able to reduce the intensity and strength of our likes and dislikes. And this is what is also called as Karma Yoga. The next step is integration of body and mind. And what is this about? Just like for any other purpose, we need our faculties of body and mind and intellect in order to be able to achieve our goal. Right? The spiritual goal of getting the knowledge of Advaita is no different, and we have to use all our faculties effectively in order to achieve that goal. So this is a set of discipline for strengthening our body and mind and making sure that they obey our orders. So the body should say, do what, if I have to sit quietly for 1 hour and do meditation, the body should accommodate. It should not start protesting after 5 minutes. Move your hands, move your legs, scratch your back. That should not happen. The mind should cooperate. If we say the mind do japa for 1 hour or half an hour, then the mind should cooperate and it should stay on that mantra or whatever else we want to do. So this is a process of discipline in order to make sure our body and mind are able to receive the knowledge. So there are 2 parts here. One is the moral and physical discipline, which is the yama niyama, the do's and don'ts, ahimsa, satya and so on, and the asana and pranayama. And the second part is the mental discipline, the meditation, which is the pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. Together it is called Ashtanga Yoga. And in general, this set of disciplines is called Upasana Yoga. Once we have prepared the mind to receive the knowledge, next we have to get the knowledge. So that is the second step. This is Jnana Yoga, where we receive and assimilate the knowledge. And this has 3 parts. The first part is Shravana, which is approaching a qualified teacher with the proper attitude. We have to have Shraddha, we have to be respectful, we have to serve the teacher, and then we have to listen. We have to get the knowledge and understand it clearly, what exactly is being told. What is the knowledge being told? Then we have to sit and analyze and ask questions and clear all our doubts so that the model that we are being talked about, the knowledge that is being talked about, is completely clear in our mind. This is the Manana stage. And finally, the Nididhyasana stage is when we have to contemplate on this knowledge in order to assimilate it. In other words, to make it our own. So an example which we discussed recently was, if I am a medical student, let's say in pathology, and I'm looking at, how to study the blood and different kinds of cells in the blood and different compounds in the blood. If I'm a medical student, I'm doing all this. This is very objective knowledge. But we want to make it subjective. If now I go to a clinical diagnostic center and I do a blood test, and they take my blood, they do the test, and then they give me a report. Now in this report also the same thing is given, right? This is the components of the blood, this is the number of percentage of blood you have, and so on. But now I am not looking at it objectively, I am looking at it subjectively. It is my own thing they are talking about. They are not talking about something out there. It is about me. So this knowledge of Advaita should not be something in the book, something told by the teacher, some concept, but it should be about me. And that is the process of nididhyasana, so that it becomes a part of me. So this is the process by which we can get to the knowledge of Advaita. Right? So just to summarize, I've tried to put together most of the things I've discussed in one picture. So starting from the top left, so I start from the assumption that I am an individual, and this leads to a sense of limitations, and hence because of the limitation I want, because I have limited, I want something, and this leads, I need to seek something to get what I want. I have to do some actions to get what I want, and these two things combined say, okay, if we normally I would just try to get people, objects, and situations, but if we add the karma principle, then it gives us the conclusion that give sukha to get sukha, because what I want is sukha. And what is the karma principle? I as an individual am interacting with the universe, and then there is an action and there is a result, and this is always balanced. If I do an action, I will always get a result, and I always do these things through a body, which is this circle, and I can move from one circle to the next circle, from one body to another, and continue doing this. So this is the karma principle, which gives us the conclusion that we have to give sukha to get sukha. And when I say, okay, I want to do something to get sukha, I can try to change what I want so that I can build future samskaras, and that will reduce the effort I need to put in to get sukha. But I'm still in the same cycle. I have to still give sukha to get sukha. Now from here, I want to get to the state where I have permanent sukha. But how do I do that? For that, we need to take the help of the Advaita principle. And in the Advaita principle, we do the following stages. There is Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga, reduction of likes and dislikes, and then Upasana Yoga, integration of the body and mind, and then Jnana Yoga, getting the knowledge and assimilating the knowledge. And at the end of it, my assumption changes from I am an individual to I am the total. And when this happens, that leads to permanent sukha, because there is no more a sense of limitation. So I have put some color coding just to see where the connections happen. So the blue boxes, the blue outlines are the assumptions. So I am an individual, I want, and I am the total. These are the assumptions. We move from one assumption to another, right? And the purple outlines are the sadhanas, the actions that we do to get what we want. So when I'm an individual, the action I do is give sukha and get sukha, or I try to build better samskaras. And when I move to the Advaita principle stage, I use Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga, and Jnana Yoga to as sadhanas to get to the goal of I am the total, and hence permanent sukha. And if you see here, there is a direct correlation between some of these assumptions which are being counteracted by the sadhanas. So for example, here I am doing this activity. I have the assumption that I have to do something and get what I want, right? Because I want to get what I want. So Karma Yoga is directly counteracting that by saying that you don't need to do anything to get what you want. All you have to do is according to dharma adharma, not according to what you want, according to your likes and dislikes. Similarly, the fact that I want something external to me, it is counteracted by Upasana Yoga, says that by meditation, when I find the happiness within myself, I find great pleasure in my own mind through the process of meditation. then the assumption that I have to seek something external, right, that I want something external to be happy, that goes away by the practice of Upasana Yoga. Similarly, by the process of Jnana Yoga, I am able to counter the assumption that I am an individual, and this directly counters this assumption, and then I am able to reach the assumption that I am the total. So to summarize, as an individual, I can pursue sukha sustainably by following the karma principle. After doing this pursuit for some time, I find that, okay, this is not very practical. Can I look for better alternatives? This leads us to the Advaita principle, which can lead us to permanent sukha. And this has two stages. One is the karma upasana stage. Second is the jnana yoga stage. And through this, I can incorporate Advaita, the knowledge of Advaita into my life. And that will lead to permanent sukha. This is a long journey, and there are steps. And depending on where I am today, I can take the relevant help of the Shastra and make my progress towards permanent sukha. Yeah, this is what I wanted to share with everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. Sri Gurubhyo Namah.
Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om.
Thank you, sir, for this enlightening talk. Now let's start the question and answer session. Those who have questions, please raise your hands. We will call out your names and you can unmute and ask your question. You can also type your question in the chat box. You can ask questions in Bengali, Hindi, and English.
I think there are no questions. So, thank you again for the opportunity. If it helps, I can share the picture or the slides if people are interested.
Thank you, Bhaiya, for this wonderful talk. We are grateful to you for taking your time. I thank you on behalf of Young Soldiers of Swamiji Group. Now we will end the session with Jaikara by Nikhilesh.
Thank you.
Jai Sri Guru Maharaj Ji ki Jai. Jai Sri Mahamai ki Jai. Jai Sri Swamiji Maharaj Ji ki Jai.
Thank you very much, sir. It was such a great enlightening lecture. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you. Anirban, I will send the slides to you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Hari Om.
Thank you for the talk.
Dharma.